techniques can I use to increase my productivity while studying for long hours? This is Parker from TestPrepChampions.com, and in this video I'm going to be answering exactly that question using one of my popular answers I did on Quora.com. I want to add in some additional insights here as we go along. So the first step is to always stick with one task at a time until you've completed it. And in order to do this, though, it's important to get the basics down. So you need to be working off of some kind of to-do list. It doesn't have to be fancy, just some kind of list of what needs to be done. And preferably, you're going to make this stuff as specific as possible. So let's say you've got a math test coming up. If you just write on your to-do list, study for a math test, well, that's better than nothing, but you want to try to make that as specific as possible. So, for example, study for math test by doing practice problems 1 through 25 in chapter 3. Or whatever your work happens to be for that day. But you want to do something like that, make it very specific. And the reason for that is, how are you going to know once you've completed a task? So that's the first thing, is to go down your to-do list and ideally carve out some time in your schedule to work on your most important tasks. And you want to know when a task is going to be considered complete. So like I said, avoid something like study for history or work on paper that's too vague. Make it more specific. So if you're working on a paper, you could make your to-do list item, work on the intro to my paper, type 800 words, whatever your workload happens to be for that day. But you want to make it very specific, and the reason is because then you're going to know once you've completed that task. And then once you go to actually sit down and do the work, you work off your to-do list and off of your schedule, and the best rule of thumb is to always stick with the task that you've planned until it's 100% complete. You don't want to move around, switch tasks, even do a lot of things like taking a break to answer a text message or go on social media. Try to avoid doing that as much as possible. It's okay to take little breaks here and there, but once you sit down and work, you're there to work. So work the whole time that you're working. Don't work for 5 minutes, check your phone, work for 5 minutes, check your phone, work for 5 minutes, check your phone. You're not going to get anything done that way. So the best action step I can give you for this is, next time you plan your day, write out the 3 to 5 of the most important things you have to get done. Then sit down and work on the first thing on your list, the most important thing. Sit there and don't do anything else. Don't move on to any tasks until that's complete. Then go on to the next thing and work on that until it's complete. Don't hop around from task to task. It's just a very bad practice. So try this out. So the next one is to maximize your focus, and this is to simply just put 100% of your focus on your task. Now, this seems like common sense, but you'll be surprised if you're having trouble getting your work done effectively, how much easier it's going to be if you put your sole focus on that task. So like I was just saying, you want to not be checking your phone every couple minutes. You want to silence your phone. I would turn off all music. Some students like to study with music. I don't usually recommend this, but some people like to put on things like classical or music without words. It's up to you. You can experiment. I generally don't like that idea. I don't think it's as conducive to productivity as students might think, but hey, that's up to you. Try it out. Definitely get all the tabs on your computer off that aren't related to your work, and if possible, go somewhere where you're going to be in an environment that's quiet, like a library, cubicle, or somewhere where you're not going to have other distractions around. And so a good way to really maximize your focus is to work in intervals. And one of the most popular techniques is the Pomodoro technique. And there's actually a whole book about the Pomodoro technique, and there's all this stuff in it. It's not just, oh, work in 25-minute intervals, take a 5-minute break, but that's the main part of the technique, although there is a lot more depth to it than that if you read the book. But anyway, the basic thing that you need to know to use the Pomodoro technique is to set a timer for a specific period of time. So 25 minutes is what you'll want to use to start with. And during that time, you focus all of your attention on your work and nothing else until the timer goes off. If random thoughts start popping up into your head, ignore them and just get back on your work. Keep your mind on your work. Then once the timer goes off, take a short little break, 3 to 5 minutes, get up, get a drink, or just do something to recharge really quickly. Don't start anything new. Like, don't pull out a novel and start reading or anything. Just do something that's mindless for a few minutes just to kind of resettle. And then that's called 1 Pomodoro. So you want to keep doing this, and after usually 3 Pomodoros or 4 Pomodoros, give yourself a longer break, which would be 15 to 30 minutes. Now, that's the basic outline of the Pomodoro technique, but you might find it more beneficial to work in longer intervals. So for example, you could do 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. I like doing that because then when you plan your day, you can plan out, maybe 2 or 3 hours to work on your math problems or whatever your assignment would be for that day. And then you'll be able to go 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, 50, 10, 50, 10, and then you're done. So that's how I recommend it, but you can do even shorter Pomodoro style intervals if you want. And you need to take these breaks because for a couple reasons, but one is that it's really not good for your health to be sitting for long periods of time. Most doctors today are going to tell you that. There's all kinds of research about that. You can Google it and you'll find it, or ask me, send me a message, and I'll link you to some sources here. But anyway, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be more re-energized to get up and get the blood pumping, but it's not good for your health, and also you're going to fall asleep or you might get drowsy if you're sitting for hours and hours. I know I certainly do. And then so the second thing is that you can only give something so much effort for so long. You can only put 100% of your intensity into your workload for so long before you have to take a break. In this graph here, it shows student performance, and we see how after a short period of time, the student performance is going to dip down, but if you take a rest, then the student performance is going to go back up. So this is, generally speaking, a very good model that is very accurate for how to perform optimally. So when you're studying and doing your workload, work in little short intervals of very intense focus, and then take a quick break and come back into your work. And then after you've been doing this for a little while, maybe go take a longer break, like go to the gym, go do something active for an hour and a half or 2 hours, or go for a walk, do something, preferably something active that gets you outdoors to sunlight or anything in nature you can do is great to really restore your focus and energy. So number 3 is one that I love. Abide by the 2-minute rule. And so this really dates back to David Allen, who was one of the biggest time management gurus, so to speak. And I put that word guru in quotes. And he wrote a book called Getting Things Done, which was very, at the time when it came out, which was many years ago now, it was a very, very influential work. It's still influential today. He's still considered one of the most renowned time management and productivity experts. It's a great book. It has a lot of good ideas. I think that I've read it several times. I think that it could have been condensed. I think that some of the things in it also aren't going to be practical for college students. And so there's pros and cons to the system, but it is highly effective. But this rule comes from David Allen. And it's basically, if there's anything that's going to take 2 minutes or less, just do it. So if you make your to-do list for the day and there's something on it that's going to take you a minute to do, like go send an email, go text your mom back, whatever it is, go pick something up and move it across the room, go put your papers in your folders. If it's going to take less than 2 minutes, just go do it on the spot. Don't think about it, just go and do it. And it sounds like, and a lot of times, like, we overestimate how long things are actually going to take, but if something's going to take under 2 minutes, just go and get it done, because if not, all these 2-minute tasks are going to pile up and pile up and pile up, and if you can't handle these little things, they are going to pile up eventually. So you could also expand this into a 5-minute rule or a 10-minute rule, but a good thing to do is to, a lot of people tell you to start off your day by taking down the hardest or the thing that you're most likely to procrastinate on, which is called Eating the Frog. Eat That Frog was a famous time management book by Brian Tracy, who was another legendary, quote, time management, unquote, guru. Still is. But anyway, so that's Eat the Frog is the philosophy that you should start off your day by taking down the hardest thing on your to-do list, the thing that you least want to do, the thing that you dread doing the most, because it's going to be all downhill from there once you take down the hardest thing. And as a general rule of thumb, I do think this is a great philosophy and a great way to manage your time. However, sometimes you just have to get momentum going. So if you wake up on a certain day, maybe it's a Thursday, just near the end of the week, but you still got stuff to do. You can't quite pack it up for the weekend and go hang out with your friends all weekend. You still got something to do, maybe a Wednesday, Thursday, or even a Friday if you've got classes and stuff going on Fridays. Okay, you just to get momentum going for your day when you're tired, I sometimes recommend making a list of things that are going to take you just a few minutes to do and just getting them done, just little things like cleaning up your room or your apartment or your dorm, wherever you're at, just tidy up your desk, go through your backpack, any papers that should be in folders that aren't, just do that. Just little things that are just going to get some momentum going. Little tasks, making your bed, things like that are very simple but don't take a whole lot to do, but just to get something going, because sometimes days when we wake up and we're just lethargic, we're tired, and we don't feel like doing anything, you know, you need to get up and take action and just get going on something. So the 2-minute rule is really helpful to start off with if you've got some small tasks to do, to just get some momentum going. Another way to do it, though, some people like to set aside like an hour, like near the end of their day, or it doesn't have to be an hour, maybe 10 or 20 minutes near the end of their day to just go and do all their 2-minute tasks then. So however you want to do it, it's up to you. The last one is very powerful. This is to batch your tasks. And batching just means grouping similar tasks together and knocking them out at the same time. So a good example of this could be doing your chores all at once. So instead of doing your sweeping Monday, your dusting Tuesday, your vacuuming Wednesday, your laundry Thursday, etc., you could just take one day of the week and just make your chores all due on that day. So Sunday is kind of like International Laundry Day for college students a lot of the time. So you might have trouble getting into getting a washer and dryer on that day, because if you live in the dorms, everyone seems to be trying to do their laundry on Sundays. So a good day, a good plan would be to pick a random day of the week, maybe like Friday or Saturday or even Wednesday, when students are less likely to be hoarding into the laundry rooms to do your laundry then. But anyway, the point here is that if you pick a day and just knock all your chores out on that day, then you don't have to do them the whole rest of the week. Or you might have to do some little tasks here and there throughout the week, but it's a lot easier than having to worry about trying to do everything all at once. I know I certainly do this because, like, during the week, my house will get a little bit messy, and then rather than just clean my house every single day and put everything back where it was every single day, sometimes I'll just let it pile up and then just do it one day. And it's all about just picking one day of the week to get things that you don't want to do done. So you can also apply this to tasks that are very similar. Like, for example, I had to write during the holidays last year. I had a bunch of thank you cards to write. I had a big list of people I had to send cards to, and I just made myself sit down for a couple hours. I don't even think it took that long, maybe an hour, hour and a half, and I just wrote everybody a thank you. And the first couple cards I wrote, it was hard to really get my momentum going. It was hard. The words came out really slowly. Couldn't really think of things to say. But then as I got down my list and got near the end of my list, the words just kept flowing, and because I got it in the zone and I got momentum going. So really, bashing, a lot of it is all about momentum. So for example, let's say you have a bunch of job applications that you want to turn in for summer jobs or internships or whatever. You could do, say, 2 a day for a week, and then you would get a bunch turned in by the end of the week. Or you could just set aside, an hour or two Monday morning or Sunday, whenever you want to do it, and just spend, it could even be more than a few hours. It might take you longer than that, or it might take you 20 minutes, however long it takes you, but just get all the applications that you want to do done during that day, and then you have the whole rest of the week not to worry about it. So certain tasks, batching is very advantageous. It's not always. It just depends. You got to find what works for you, and chores is a good example of this. Like I said, some people like to just do one thing every day, just keep on top of their chores a little bit at a time. Some people like to kind of let it pile up during the week and pick one day where they'll just set aside a few hours or most of the day to get their cleaning done, however you want to do it. But anyway, guys, this is the video here. I hope that this really helps you out, and I hope this gets you going wherever you are so you can get up to that next level of high performance in your life. So definitely, as an action step for batching your tasks, I didn't mention this, you just go down your to-do list and look for any similar tasks that are similar and just make plans to get them all done at once. And a lot of this goes back to the initial thing that I said here, the first one, which is really might be the most important, is don't multitask. Stay on one thing at a time until you've gotten it done. And this can even apply to if you've got a handful of similar things. Do all the similar things at one time before you move on to something that's unrelated. Because once you get that momentum going and then you switch to something entirely different, you're gonna lose your momentum and you're gonna have to regain it. So if you're doing a math test and you're studying for a couple hours for math, you take a little break and then you come back for history, you're going to have to get that momentum going again for your history. It's going to take you maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes to really, or longer, to really get in the zone with your history. So you've got to just keep that in mind here. But guys, let me know if you have any questions. I hope this video helped you out. Thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this. I'd really appreciate it. Good luck with whatever you choose to do in your future.